I don't have one because I'm going to be talking more than Alex for this episode. So,
hi, welcome to the Music Lens podcast with me, Alex Allegra.
And Katie Fee. Hello.
Hello.
How are we today?
Good. I was in the studio earlier today, so new music is afoot. By the time you guys are hearing this, TikTok will maybe already be banned.
Yeah, that was my first thing.
I figured, yeah.
So I figured do a little current events type
Yeah.
of update before getting into the topic. So.
Well, and Christian and I had a very riveting discussion about, like, where social media kind of sits and, like, what we think it's going to look like. And so I put on my Instagram, like, a poll of, like, okay, where is everyone going to?
Yeah.
And honestly, my thinking is that we're probably going to, like, because right now it feels very oversaturated with, like, everyone trying to get that app, their app to be the next app.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're gonna have that, but it's gonna be really like a lull. Like, I feel when Vine ended, it took how many years for, like, people were like, oh, I miss
guess
Vine.
I don't know
And
what
so
the
it became
timeline was.
TikTok in that same sense. So I feel like it's gonna be like a cycle kind of thing. I think we're gonna have this lull. And honestly, I mean, YouTube is still such a underutilized but still very highly usable platform for all of that stuff. So I think we're going to have another rise of maybe different kinds of YouTube influencers again. And, like, YouTube Shorts is really going to take off.
Yeah.
And then Instagram obviously is still going to be it. But, like, we've tried to revive Twitter how many times with different apps, and that's still, like, even Instagram couldn't crack the Twitter sphere into its same popularity. So I think right now we're going to get, like, a bunch of, well, we miss TikTok and all this stuff, but it's going to take, like, another generation of, like, oh my God, do you guys remember this? It was a TikTok, like how we do, oh my God, it was a Vine, like, you had to be there kind of a thing. And it'll be revived in a different kind of way. Because if it was really about just reviving one thing, when Justin Timberlake bought MySpace would still be all the rage, but people don't really go backwards as much as they think they do. They, like, have reminiscence of it, but, like, it still moves forward. So
I'm thinking I'm leaning towards YouTube Shorts for right now. I mean, if you look at my socials at all right now, it's pretty obvious that I'm, like, going towards new music, and I have video plans, but it's like, okay, well, without TikTok, what am I gonna do with these? Because Instagram's algorithm, I don't think wants you posting as often as TikTok did. So it's like, well, I have static posts that I need to be doing too, or, like, have planned out too, and it was going to be a little different depending on the platform. So now what is that other platform for videos that I want to use? So that's why I haven't posted much yet of video things, because I was originally planning on posting stuff sooner, but now I'm, like, waiting to figure out what's gonna happen. So we're just kind of, like, in the air right now, and by the time
Blue Sky?
No, I've heard that's kind of just another Twitter type thing, so I don't know.
And I joined Lemonade only because they said that it was separate enough that it would still stay on after TikTok, but then somebody else told me that it was still owned by the same thing, so it wouldn't be. I didn't realize CapCut was also getting pulled.
CapCut is part of TikTok too, which is unfortunate because that's a really good editing app.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but by the time this is out, it's going to be completely different, or, like, we'll know more answers from where we're at now, because we're recording this the day before the ban's supposed to happen.
I also people were online, and I know you shouldn't read everything you hear online, but it legitimately seemed like even if it was to be banned, it would take a year or two after. So the fact that we're getting it banned on Sunday.
So there's, like, a couple different things with it of, like, I've heard basically the ban makes it so the app stores are not going to have it anymore, but, like, it's not illegal for users to still have the app. But one of the theories is that it will just eventually become unusable because you can't get updates, but you're not going to go to jail for having it downloaded on your phone.
Oh, okay.
it's just gonna lose all functionality.
I really wondered that too. I was like, are people gonna show up to my house if I'm found using it still?
No.
But Christian said it might be like Vine, where you can still have the app on your phone, but it won't open because it's trying to connect a US server that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, there's also a theory that there will be like a pop-up if you go into the app, and it's gonna just basically say that it's not gonna be allowed to be used or something.
Yeah.
So I've been keeping up with Under the Desk News on TikTok for all of my like updates with it, and basically the way it was explained with them is that Biden's not gonna enforce the ban for the last 36 hours of his presidency, and Trump's been claiming that he's gonna save TikTok or whatever. So if he actually does uphold that promise, he would have to like enact the 90-day one-time extension for giving TikTok another 90 days to find a buyer.
Who, Trump is trying to save TikTok?
He apparently likes TikTok now. I don't know.
How? It's been like, he's been saying no this whole time, and now all of a sudden, I mean...
But the timeline with it is just tricky because it's like, well, Biden's not going to enforce this, but just with Inauguration Day and stuff, how much time does he have to enact that 90-day thing? Like, is there a time limit of when he's able to get that done and when it's too late to get that enacted? So I don't know if that's even a possibility, just timeline wise. But they are really pushing Lemonade because that's their sister app.
Yes.
And so I did a little bit of research with that.
I'm not
because
a huge fan of it, I will say, after using it a little bit.
I'm not taking the time until we know for sure that that will be a thing, because I'm like, I'll claim my profile or whatever, but that's about it. It's number 2 in the App Store right now, and I found an article that, quote, it appears to be an amalgamation of several other popular social media platforms. It has photos that can be uploaded as a single image or a carousel of photos like Instagram, videos that appeal to users' specific sensibilities and interests like TikTok, and an interface that allows users to interact with different types of content at once like Pinterest.
To be honest, all 3 of them. It really only feels like YouTube Shorts to me. Okay. At least. The way that it like...
The way the homepage looks makes me think Pinterest.
That makes me feel Pinterest, yes. I will... Or like... If you go into the Explorer page on TikTok, that's how it feels now with the new updated version of the Explorer page. But uploading videos, like, because it has title, description, and then it's very hard to connect certain sounds and stuff. That's how it felt, very YouTube Short-esque.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to wait to see, because technically under the law, since it's also owned by ByteDance, it could also be banned. Yes. So I'm not going to put time and effort into it and then have it get banned too.
No, and that's why I've always just posted videos onto every platform anyways, because it just, like, you never know which ones. And when Universal was having all of its issues, sometimes I would get banned on one platform but not the other for the sound. So it like, I was still trying to aim my content towards certain things. But I mean, that's also why I posted the poll, because I was just like, is anyone actually avidly trying to find like something different, or are we just sticking to let's just take a break? Because also, I mean, I think it'll be very different, and we'll all feel that, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do now that we can't just aimlessly scroll TikTok all day long?
There's already memes about it in its final day of the sound from Catching Fire Hunger Games of the lady who's going TikTok, TikTok, and she's like freaking out. Yeah. And it's like people having withdrawals.
Yes. But also, I think about the fact that Instagram Reels was already basically a TikTok. It was just a delayed TikTok of sorts. So I feel like that'll still get us all of our dopamine hits for that kind of content. It's just, again, with YouTube Shorts,
as well,
no, it's not well put together. It's for like a user-friendly like the same way that like you're geared.
It doesn't know you personally in the way that TikTok tends to. Of like, it's really, what is the word I'm trying to think of? It's like fit to you. It's a bigger word than the word.
I want to say acclimated, but it's not acclimated.
No. Why do I think it starts with a C? It doesn't matter. Someone's yelling it at us right now. But yeah, it's TikTok is
really cultivated towards your
each
own
person. Yeah,
likes and stuff. But I will say on Instagram I get a lot of dog videos, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing. Sam sends me reels. He's not on TikTok, so there's that. So he'll just keep sending me reels of random things.
That's Braden's the same way. He only does the reels anyways. And that's the thing is like half the people are still only doing reels anyways. So it's like, I think we'll be okay. I also think it might be a healthy thing of anything that we're finally we're all so sick of social media, even like influencers and all of that stuff, that it's like maybe this is finally like the break of it might be a refreshing retake this year. And where like 4 years ago we got COVID as a little refresh, maybe this will be another refresh year.
Okay, but I just think of all the people who was their like sole source of income, and it's hard to move from one platform to another and keep the same income. So I don't know how that's gonna go for people like that.
I think like that. I understand, but I also think that those people have already started enough business elsewhere. Like if you look at, I mean, Anna X has her own podcast now. Deanna, who I follow, who is like this Broadway star person, is now in her own Broadway musical. She finally got one. I think of, oh gosh, who's the guy? Everyone's going to be mad at me for not knowing his name off the bat of my head, but Taylor Swift guy. That
Steven?
No. Oh gosh, he had the boyfriend too. Chris Olsen.
Chris?
Yes. Chris Olsen has the coffee company.
I don't know why you thought Taylor, but okay.
Because he went to a lot of the Taylor I don't know why. Anyways.
He's friends with Meghan Trainor, so I think more Meghan Trainor than Taylor.
I couldn't think of it. And he's on tour with Meghan Trainor right now. So I think the people that like their maybe main source was, I think it'll be different for like the influencer type people like a Steven kind of thing, where like their whole content money making was based on that kind of a thing. But again, this is where like just going back to Instagram and just following all the people that you like on TikTok.
Support on the other platforms.
Just go and support them on their other platforms, and maybe they'll get their shit together on their algorithm, and then you'll get their stuff back.
Yeah. The last thing I had with it was just, I mean, I'm personally not gonna go download it, but Red Note, the Chinese version of TikTok, is #1 in the App Store because people are downloading it out of spite.
Yeah, my friend wanted to learn Mandarin just so she could understand what was going on.
Yeah, Duolingo posted something of like, oh, so now you want to learn another language.
Yeah, and that's what Christian was saying. It might also invoke people just to be more cultured, and like maybe it'll start more of an education kind of, and that's what I was saying. It might be a really healthy restart of like, maybe we could learn something else.
There was like I think the creator and stuff on it, there's official videos on the app of like trying to teach Americans how to use it, since it is not in English. So it's like, here's a guide to how to use Red Note. But I just it's funny that this whole thing started because they're worried about American data being in the hands of China, and now they are using the actually owned by China app.
I know.
So yeah, it was funny, and it's crazy that that's now #1 in the App Store.
I'm surprised that we're allowed to download that app out of all their concerns of everything, but that isn't the ban.
Yeah, I don't know what all falls under it, if it's like specifically ByteDance or what it is. So I haven't read the actual thing, so I don't know what.
I mean, we'll find out soon enough at this point. I really didn't think we would, but apparently we will. So
we're at this point,
we are going to know.
Yeah. Taking a completely different turn now.
No, wait. One more other thing I thought of is people were so. I think with the whole money making side of TikTok and all this stuff, and especially with musicians, while it was a great jumping off point for a lot of artists to get their viral moment, I think there's a little bit of readjusting how we view, because again, we don't have to just chase that viral moment necessarily. I mean, there's still going to be that need to, that
streaming numbers are still a thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, all main like labels and big markets and all that stuff, they're still going to want the numbers, because that's not going to change no matter what. No matter if, like, there'd still be some kind of viralness of it. I mean, that goes back to even the Beatles. Like, there's always going to be that kind of tangibleness to what is going to draw investors into your own stuff. But I will say, like, a lot of people struggled with, like, they'd had one viral thing and then, like, just drop off. And so I think it may help with, like, more steadying instead of just, like, the viralness of it, maybe with other platforms, or, like, just the fact that maybe it'll give some other artists now a chance that didn't get their moment on TikTok. Like, maybe it'll draw other people out from other things, because now we have to look for other sources to find new material. Because I was finding a lot of, like, luck on YouTube Shorts, of all things. Like, that's where I had semi-viral moments.
We're going to go back to our artist inventory series this week. And so that's our series where we kind of go and we break down to, like, the basics of the different roles of the artist team. If you haven't listened to any of the other ones, go check them out. But we're going to do producers this week. So I figured we do producers now, and then we could do, like, a whole another episode of, like, production and producing. So that's why I think we should be good on time because of that breakdown. But yeah, going straight into the basics, I found an article from Berkeley, and we're gonna put all these links in our episode description. But just starting off with, what does a music producer do? Professional music production is creative and technical. It requires well-developed listening skills, a good handle on recording technology, a deep musical knowledge, and effective project management and leadership skills by a music producer, also known as a record producer. So record, music producer, they are interchangeable. And so a music producer assists an artist with their recording project, bringing their vision to fruition and guiding their sound along the way. Sometimes a producer's role includes scheduling all the musicians to come in and record in the studio, and to do so within the appointed budget for the project. This can either be individual tracking of instruments or a live band type session where everyone plays all at once. Or it could be that the producer is also playing all the instruments and just kind of doing track by track by track that way. I just touched your foot. I'm sorry. And so, like, that could be a producer's job. It could be the artist's job. It could be a mix of both, of, like, finding musicians and hiring them. But they do potentially help you get the people who are going to play on your song, which is kind of the reason why I went with the producer that I went with for my first EP, was being new to doing all that. I was like, I don't know who to even contact about finding people. I don't know how to check people's credibility of playing. So it was good to have a producer with those connections that was able to just kind of do all the scheduling and the organizing for me. And let's see.
One key note, I think, in the definition of the producer is the project management side of it, because there's normally a couple different people within the space that you can have. And so a producer is different than the guy sitting at the computer touching the buttons sometimes, because that's the engineer. And that's the producer is, like, your main contact point. He's
like the one running the show in a way. And, like, artists, obviously, they have the end say for everything. If there's something they don't like, then they should tell them, and they'll make sure they, like, try a different take and try a different guitar solo or something until the artist is satisfied with the end product. But the producer is the one kind of, like, guiding it along, and if they're studio musicians, they're the ones kind of making sure that the musicians still have creative freedom to do stuff, but the producer is making sure that it is all going towards the end goal of having whatever the vibe of the song and the vision of the song that the artist is trying to achieve.
Right, and having that strong musical knowledge of like getting all the charts together and being able to effectively, if you say you want this kind of sound, okay, how do I as the producer tell musicians how to play their instrument in the way that's going to convey that emotion or that sound or that style of music that they want into the record so that everything sounds, and they're going to oversee your vocals and make sure that you're getting all the emotion in there or saying all your words properly or adding harmonies and other things like that. So having that big knowledge base of music and terminology and just people skills of knowing and having a big network is really what the producer is all about.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people like know the term producer and like, oh, okay. But I think breaking it down in this sense is a little bit like, it's not just, okay, like we're not just saying it to be redundant and stupid.
Right.
And like,
but just, get a general understanding of like, I think with music producers, you think, oh, they're the people who build the tracks and like take it from just like a vocal guitar thing to a fully produced, fully multi-instrumental sound. And but there's just more to it than that. That's like the main goal thing, but there's so many different, I guess, sub roles that producers have on top of that. And I guess I'll jump down because you said like how there's usually someone else at the board, or sometimes there's someone else at the board. They can take on other roles, but they also can be done by other people, as you said. So like recording engineer is usually the one that's like at the control board. But that could also be the producer if it is a smaller one. And mixing engineer, mastering engineer, tracking engineer, editor. Basically, take every single step of the process and put the word engineer after it. There could be a separate person for each of those roles.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say, is that you could literally have a producer who helped organize the studio session, and then you could have their engineer who pressed all the buttons and knew how to operate everything to make it sound pretty on the computer end of it. And then you could have those things handed over to you, and then you could take it to a mixing engineer and they can mix everything out. And then you could take it to a mastering engineer and they could master it, which mastering is basically making it radio quality, making sure that everything is nice and even tonally and quality wise. And it's that final little extra edge that makes sometimes, at least what used to make an at-home studio different from a professional studio, but now at-home studios are so good that as long as you know how to use everything, you can do what a professional studio does.
Yeah, but the main role that people think of when they think music producers, like I said, is like shaping the music, taking it from raw to fully finished. And they are really there to like help express the artist's musical and emotional intent, but also if your goal is to release the song commercially and have success with it in a commercial standpoint, then they also want to keep that in mind of making a song that is going to reach broader audiences and connect with people on a bigger stage, I guess, if you will.
Yeah. They're like your therapists, too, in a sense of you have to find the one that works well with your vision. And sometimes it's not even about if you like the person or not. It may just be what aligns closest to the vision that you as an artist have for a song and where you want to see it commercially. Like if you want a song that you've been going to this and you can go to different producers for different things. Even within an album project, you could go to every song having a different producer, and it's not
all one.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier and it's cheaper sometimes to use all the same one, but again, it's really aligning. Like if you want a country sounding record and you go, well, country's a little different because I feel like country is
it's kind of
streamlined production, right, but if you want to have a synth pop sound and you go to a country music producer, it's not gonna be what you want, and your guys are gonna maybe butt heads because they're not used to doing it within the style that you're looking for. And if you want this dramatic, if you want a dramatic ballad and you want somebody who's really gonna get the emotional impact out of you, and you go to somebody who just writes beats and like produces beats, they might not see your vision the same way that you you see it. So you kind of have to shop around sometimes. That's not a problem. Like, you have to stand on your own. And this is really where, like I said, the therapist aspect of it is, because like you have to learn to say no. And if you don't want something, and sometimes it's a matter of, you can just not like things, but I always at least try to have, okay, why don't I like that? So that it's very clearly explained. So maybe you could fix it with that producer. Like, I don't like it. Because they're going to add their own different flares and instrumentation and stuff like that they are going to think is going to make it in the commercial style that you want. If you want it in a commercial style, like what's going to catch the ear of an audience member, because that's what they're trained to do. So if you go in there and you're just like, yeah, it's fine, and you don't speak your mind, and then you have this product that you hate, you have to stand up for yourself within those projects. I don't know what the fuck just happened.
It was loud. It shook things. Yeah. Yeah, like my first producer that I worked with for my EP, it was like he was good about commercial of in pre-production. We went through all 5 tracks for the EP and did pre-production for a day of just like taking them and figuring out not only like the chords, but like what we kind of want to do with each section. And he would even be like, okay, this is too long. Like it takes too long to get to the chorus of this song. I think we should cut the second verse. And that's something as an artist you have to like think about of like, okay, how important is that second verse to you, or as a songwriter too?
That's the point I was trying to make, is really explaining yourself appropriately and having that like maybe you don't like this one section, but you should ask, why did you put that in there? Like, what is it about that from the producer's aspect? And if you don't like it, then say, I think it sounds too much like the opposite direction that we're trying to go in, or I think adding that is going to be a little too much, or like maybe we can build it. Like, having reasons behind it is really, you have to kind of know your shit in the studio a little bit, and the only way to do that is by getting into studios and stuff. Experience. But being able to say yes or no, or like how to, or other good experience is leading your own band, and being the artist as an artist in your own band, because you're like explaining to why I need that guitar solo, or why I need this because it drives home this emotional impact, or this. So
because I will say, and I think it was just the speed at which the EP was tracked that I just kind of, personally on my own, forgot that this was something I wanted for Sunsets and Fireworks. When I play it acoustically, I have a little guitar riff type thing I have in the intro, and that's not in the produced version because I just forgot about it and got caught up with all the like, oh, there's a whole band here of people, and just was taking it all in and forgot. So that's something, like, if that's important to you to have, to remember it in the moment too, because it costs money to bring people back in to re-record after the day's done. So that wasn't something that I was going to do, but that's why it's a little different when I play it acoustically versus here in the studio track.
I've just definitely seen a lot of people, especially early in my career, that would not speak up, and they'd go to other people and be like, I just am not happy with it, but I don't know how to tell them, like, because it's really not about hurt feelings. And that's where I really say, and what's helped me a lot and why I've gotten a lot of respect in the studio, is that people will be like, she explains herself in a way that makes you understand why she doesn't like something, or why it fits the way that it does or does not within your song. And it's not about me being right, and it's not about me. It's, you have to take your ego out of it.
It's also you are paying them to do a job, but you also want to make sure, like, it's on you too to make sure the job's done well, because if you're not communicating what you want, then how are they going to know that you don't like it? And they obviously want you to be happy with the end product too, because if you're not, then you're probably not going to work with them again. And you're not going to recommend them to people, so that kind of hurts their business too. But that's just
you're trying to cultivate a relationship with this person in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's similar to a manager. Like, you want to ultimately spend time with this person because you want to do more projects with them in the future. Like, finding your producer that does your sound and does it well and like can help you achieve a goal is so key. And so Not that you shouldn't try other people even when you do like that person, but it's fun to stick with one person sometimes.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I had just in like the roles and stuff, and kind of goes into or talks about the communication aspect too of when you are in a studio, and you bring a song, it's good to have a reference track too of kind of the vibe and what direction you want the song to take. Because that will help be like a starting point for the producer to use to like figure out what to do, I guess, to just start off with it.
I try to have a couple.
Yeah, you
like
can do more
I
than
like
one,
this
but...
beat, but I like this way that she sings this, and I try to like pull from a lot of different things.
Gotcha. I guess as a example that I put for the song that I am releasing next month, I put Heart First for the reference track of just like a upbeat country love type positive song. So that was the reference track that we went with that one. Yeah, so that's kind of just the overall of like what a producer is and their roles and stuff. And so the second part that I wanted to get into was finding a producer to produce your music. And so with the first EP, what I did was just make a post in a Facebook group. Yep, Young Entertainment Professionals is a good one for Nashville, but I'm sure there's plenty of other musician Facebook groups out there for finding people. I just basically was like, I am searching for a country producer to work with for a 5-song EP, and had people comment. And then they DM'd or commented their information, and then I kind of picked from there.
Well, that's also where using reference tracks sometimes helps, especially if there are artists within your own like level. Like if you have a friend and you really like the new song that she just put out, ask directly or check liner notes or check their credits, because everyone posts at least a credits thing. Check the credits, go to their Instagram, go to their website, go to somewhere, listen to other productions that they've done. That's where I've always found, well, my producers have always been like friends of mine actually, but it's just always worked out really well, or like recommendations from other friends. So
yeah, that was another one I had. But just to finish, like Facebook of like basically people who are interested to work with you potentially will comment and DM, and you can take that and just like review all the stuff that they send you. Samples of work, credits, websites, pricing sheets, anything that they send over, and kind of narrow it down that way. What I did was I narrowed it down to 2 people. I got coffee with both of them to kind of gauge if we would work well together, and just like hear what their process is, get any questions answered that I had, and kind of went off of that and went a little bit off of like a vibe, because you gotta be able to be around the person that you're working with and enjoy being around them. So that's part of it too. And budgeting. You want to make sure it's someone that's in your budget.
But also be mindful that sometimes you do pay for what you get. So if you're really focused on the personality over the price, then go for that. But if you're just looking at the price and not anything else, then just be mindful that it may not be exactly what you want it to be at the end of the day.
Yeah. But yeah, with that person, it was like I liked the vibe, and then I liked, like I said earlier, the that everything was pretty much taken care of, from like hiring the musicians and scheduling, and he mixed it, and then he had a person that he sent it off to for mastering, and like paid that person out of what I paid him, sort of thing. So it was all kind of within one price with minimal work on my end. So it was nice as someone who didn't know how to find musicians and stuff at the time. So that's kind of how I picked that person. But yeah, you can, like Alex said, like look at who produces your friend's music, or who produces music of just like artists that you like. Obviously probably want to look at smaller artists, because the odds of working with people who are producing your like top favorite like major artists, I don't know the odds of getting to work with people like that.
It's not necessarily a working thing too. Sometimes it just is really either out of budget or
probably would also be out of budget
thing, but
because like Jay Joyce works with Eric Church, Lainey Wilson, Brothers Osborne, people that are like in my top artists for country, and I would love to work with them someday, but I know budgeting wise and just like a little bit of a reach to work with them at this level. But looking at people who are working with artists around your level or maybe a step above, it would depend on budgeting for that too, because they might be a higher budget situation.
But get all the information up front before you even step foot in the studio.
Yes.
Know if you have to pay for the studio space. Know if you have to pay extra for an engineer. Sometimes you're literally just paying for the producer to be there, and you kind of have to find everything else yourself.
Right.
There are some people that, because like that said producer might also have a lot of references or resources outside, like getting your song sync placements and other things like that, and that's why you use that producer. Sometimes it's the network of musicians that they have, but some people do it in very different ways. So have a contract set up, know if this is a work for hire or if they get percentages. You sometimes have production fees for that kind of thing, or like along with the songwriter stuff. So knowing a lot of people around Nashville, I think, are work for hire, or at least the people I've worked for, because it just makes life a little easier, honestly, than having to do royalties after the fact. Because
it's basically just like
unless you're making a ton of money off of the song, like then it's at least like maybe a nice little, oh, here's some of the song, like after the fact. Sometimes that's nice, but yes, have a contract set in place so that you know what you are responsible for paying for, so that when you show up, everything is all set in order. If you're paying for the musicians, if you're paying for studio space, if you're paying for the producer or the engineer or the mastering, sometimes producers only do everything but the mastering, and then you have to take it and do the mastering. Know what kinds of files you're getting before it's all said and done.
It's just good to have a contract, so because it's just it's good for protecting both yourself and the producer. Just having everything in writing, so all the expectations are just like laid out, so you don't get like blindsided by anything. And if you do, then it's like, hey, that's not what the contract says, and you have that for if you do, God forbid, have to take legal action for anything. So there's also the avenue of people who are just starting out who might be willing to work for free just as like a portfolio builder. But again, it's what you pay for or don't pay for, where it probably won't sound as good a quality if it's someone who's doing it for free because they're learning. But that is an avenue that you can take. And also self-producing. So whenever
or I was going to say demo work with the person too, if you're trying to test the waters, because at least and you don't want to spend a ton of money, because it's normally like at least half of like a regular production work thing. So maybe you do a demo with that person, and then you find out, I don't think they're reaching the sound that I want. Then you can take that demo to whoever, because you own that demo at the end of it, and you can take it to whoever you would like to work with for a potential full production. So
most
will at least ask for a scratch work tape of like a guitar and a vocal,
or you can play it for them in studio too.
But that's still
just
same concept,
concept, but live.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's kind of how we did it for Christian and the first one. Yeah. Just like play through. We will be doing an episode on producing and production at some point, so maybe that will be a good learning opportunity of like, hey, here's the steps for how to go about this. So stay tuned for that in the future. I'm not sure when we'll schedule that one, but at some point here
this year,
somewhat
probably.
Soon, within the year. Within the year. I think we can make that promise. At least within this year. But do you have any other thoughts? Because I think that's basically everything I had covered twice. So
okay, well,
if you have thoughts, questions, concerns, you can send them to the Music Lens Podcast at gmail.com. Vision boards. we are. I forgot.
Well,
about
by
that.
this time, yes. So yes.
So this comes out this coming
Wednesday?
Wednesday and a week from today. So Saturday on
Next
Alex's
Saturday.
birthday on the 25th, we are going to remember when we were like, let's do a live stream vision boarding. We're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it. Yay!
And our friend Sammy K is gonna join us, so we'll have a guest on too,
And probably Ant, since we're doing
Ant.
it here.
Yeah. We still have to work out details, but I'm assuming downstairs because table, so he'll be around.
That's his domain.
But I think, should we say a time?
Yeah.
Are we aiming for 3? 3 p.m.
We should start at around
Instagram.
3 on Instagram, yes.
Join us on 3 p.m. Instagram on Saturday, January 25th. We're going to do vision boards and hang out, and it'll be a fun time. You guys can,
We'll hopefully get a thing up beforehand so that you guys can ask us questions.
We'll make a post
if you don't want to join the live.
And if you want to comment questions on the post ahead of time, or if you want to comment in the live, we can be answering questions during that as well. So that'll be a fun time. So come hang out with us. First live. Yeah.
We're doing new things in 2025 already. Look at us.
Yeah, and that our Instagram is at the Music Lens Podcast. That's probably important for you to know if you want to join us. But we're also on the other socials at the Music Lens Podcast, and we'll keep you updated if we have a different social at some point.
Yeah,
since TikTok's going away. But you can find Alex at Alex Lager Music and myself at Katie Fee Music on
everything.
The current platforms and maybe future ones to come. We'll see what happens. So
we'll see you guys next
Saturday,
time.
And then see you next week.
Yes. Bye.